rain was cold, the road was empty, and Ethan Cole had no reason to stop. A stranded Tesla. A woman in a charcoal coat who did not look like she needed anything from anyone. He fixed her car anyway. Took 22 minutes. Did not ask for her name, but when the engine turned over, she looked at him differently, like she was calculating something he could not yet see. She handed him a card. 3 days later, he finally understood. It was not a thank you. It was an offer worth millions. The garage on Meridian Street smelled like motor oil and stale coffee, and Ethan Cole had been working in it for 4 years. Before that, he had been a mechanical engineer, a good one. The kind who got called into meetings he was not invited to because someone always needed him to explain why a system was failing and how to bring it back. He had earned a real salary, carried a badge with his name on it, and came home at night to a wife who laughed at his terrible jokes and believed, without reservation, that he was going to do something extraordinary with his life. Her name was Sarah. She died on a Wednesday morning in November, 4 years ago, in a car accident on the freeway near the junction of Route 9 and Maple Crossing. She had been on her way to pick up a birthday cake. Their daughter, Lily, was turning 2. Ethan did not go back to the engineering firm after the funeral. He tried. Once. Made it as far as the parking lot. Sat in his car for 40 minutes, then drove home. There was grief inside that building, in the conference rooms, in the whiteboards, covered in notations he had written, and he was not ready to sit inside it 8 hours a day. He started working at the garage because it was simple. Something broke. You fixed it. Something was loud. You traced the sound back to its source. There were no quarterly reviews, no 5-year roadmaps, no one asking him to project into a future he could not yet imagine. But simple did not mean easy. The rent on the garage space had gone up twice in the last year. His tools were aging. The neighborhood had changed, fewer long-time residents with older cars to maintain, more young professionals leasing vehicles that went straight to dealerships when something went wrong. And Lily was 6 now, growing fast, needing more of everything. Better shoes, warmer coats, school supplies, the small particular things that added up. She asked questions he could not always answer. Why do they always have macaroni and cheese? Why does their car not have a screen like the one in her friend Ella's dad's car? Why does he look worried when he thinks she is not watching? He always told her everything was fine. She almost always believed him. The truth was a quieter thing, a low, persistent awareness of the distance between what he was doing with his life and what he knew he was capable of. He had not lost his skills. He still understood systems, load distribution, failure cascades, the way one small compromise in a design could propagate outward until it became a disaster. He still read technical papers on weekends when Lily was asleep. He still had the mind he had always had. He just had not used it for anything that mattered in a very long time. The night it started, Ethan had been running late on a brake job that expanded into a full caliper replacement. He picked Lily up from his neighbor Mrs. Harmon at nearly 8 o'clock, buckled her into the back seat with her backpack and a half-eaten granola bar, and headed home through the rain. Route 9 was quiet at that hour, the sweep of wipers, the low hiss of tires on wet asphalt, the intermittent glow of street lamps. He saw the car first as a pair of hazard lights blinking through the dark, pulled onto the shoulder near the Clearwater overpass. Then he saw the woman standing outside it. She was in a charcoal coat that was not designed for standing in the rain. Her phone was pressed to her ear. She was not pacing, not waving anyone down, not doing any of the things a person in trouble usually did. She was simply standing with the particular rigid stillness of someone for whom losing composure was not an available option even now, even alone on the side of the road in a downpour at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Ethan's first instinct was to keep driving. He had Lily in the car. It was dark. It was late. Someone else would stop, but Lily had already spotted her. "Dad, she's alone. She's on the phone, Bug. Someone's coming. What if no one comes?" He checked the mirror. He had already driven about 100 yards past the Tesla. He watched the hazards blink in the rain. "If no one helps you," Lily said quietly, more to herself than to him, "you stay stuck forever." He pulled over. When he jogged back through the rain, the woman lowered her phone and looked at him. The expression on her face was not quite suspicion and not quite relief. It was something more deliberate than either an assessment. She was taking inventory. His jacket, his hands, the grease that never fully washed out from under his fingernails no matter how long he scrubbed. "Roadside said 45 minutes, she said. "I can take a look while you wait," Ethan said. She seemed to weigh the odds for a moment. "Are you qualified?" "Enough." She gave a short nod and stepped back. The problem was not the battery. Ethan knew that within the first 90 seconds. A dead battery had a particular quality of silence, complete, absolute, the absence of everything. This car had sound. There were faint relay clicks from the motor control unit when he applied pressure to the door handle. The system was awake. It was simply not responding. He found the manual access panel behind the rear fascia and crouched in the rain, tracing the circuit path with his pocket flashlight. The culprit was a failed contactor relay, a component about the size of his thumb that served as the bridge between the battery pack and the drive system. Without it, the car was a very expensive piece of sculpture. He did not have a replacement, but he had a length of jumper wire in his jacket pocket, a salvaged relay he had stripped from a scrapped unit 2 weeks ago and never gotten around to disposing of, and the kind of patience that only develops in a person who has spent years fixing things that were not supposed to work. He rigged a bypass. It took 22 minutes. His knees were soaked through, his flashlight kept slipping in the rain, and at one point he had to ask Lily, who had quietly climbed out of their car and made her way over, standing under the Tesla's raised rear hatch with her hood up to hold the light steady. "Like a surgeon," Lily said gravely, and gripped the flashlight with both hands. The woman had stopped looking at her phone. She was watching him, not impatiently, the way most people watched a repair waiting for it to be over. She was watching the process itself. The way he moved through the problem systematically, eliminating possibilities, committing to a solution without hesitation once he had found it. There was something precise in her gaze, something that, if she had allowed herself to name it, was close to impressed. The engine turned over on the first try. Lily clapped. Ethan stood, wiped his hands on a rag, and said nothing. There was nothing that needed saying. It worked, or it did not. Tonight, it worked. The woman was quiet for a moment that lasted slightly longer than courtesy required. Then she reached into her coat, produced a card, and held it out. "If you are ever tired of fixing cars," she said, "call me." He looked at the card. Victoria Hale, Chief Executive Officer, Hale Dynamics. He took it, mostly to be polite. "Thank you," she said. And the way she said it measured, genuine, suggested she was not in the habit of saying things she did not mean. He drove home through the rain. He put the card in his jacket pocket and forgot about it. He found the card 3 days later, on a Thursday morning, while reaching for his keys. He would not have called. Probably, except that on the same morning he found the card, his landlord left a voicemail informing him that the garage rent was increasing by $400 a month, effective 60 days from now, and Lily came home from school with a permission slip for a week-long science camp, cost $220, which she had circled twice in green crayon and left on the kitchen counter where she knew he would see it. She did not ask him for it. She never pushed. She simply left it there and trusted him. He stood in the kitchen that night with the permission slip in one hand and the business card in the other, and he made the call. Victoria answered on the second ring.